Why hello there, and welcome back to Sweaterorg Short Rest. And in this episode, I will be looking at Fronds of Benevolence from Melsonian Arts Council, an adventure for Troika, also from Melsonian Arts Council. So I'm going to hand things over to the hands, and let's take a look at this. Alright, so this book here is a 43-page adventure for Troika, as I already said. And you may notice, is a hardcover book, which, for a book this small, is not exactly common, but I guess Melsonian Arts Council just really likes to make things one step fancier than they absolutely need to be. Compared to Fungi of the Far Realms, this is garden variety, pedestrian, but this thing is absurdly fancy, and it is not a standard to judge other books by. So, what is going on in this adventure that I am talking about? Essentially, you, the adventurers, must go on a quest for Count Decorticus, a benevolent plant-based ruler who requires certain rare earths to survive, his supply of which has been mysteriously cut off. So, you need to go around and find the rare earths for him. And, maybe solve a mystery or something along the way. So, this book is a point crawl, and what that means is you start at a point and there are various other points with indications of how long it takes to go either between points or through them. So that's how you track how time passes as you're going along. There's also a kind of weird time tracker here where we have rows of dice representing days, with each pip on the dice representing an hour. So, if you really want to, you can use this right here to track the time down to the hour, but that seems like a little bit too much micromanaging of the time for me, but if you want to do that, this thing is provided so that you can. So basically, the way it works is we start in Plandera on page 6, so we go to page 6, and we have a description of what goes on in Plandera. And then our travel options, which, as we can see through here, are either taking the Golden Barge, which takes 1d3 days, but is much more noticeable, or the Stilt Looper, which takes 1d6 days, and obviously set you on two different paths. So if we want to take the Golden Barge, we go to page 9, and we have a description of the Golden Barge, the things that will happen on the Golden Barge, all of the NPCs you may encounter on the Golden Barge, as well as occurrences, situations, and hazards, which are things that might happen on the Golden Barge, including a little table right here for determining where you land if you happen to crash. So, going back here, you're on the Golden Barge, normally it takes you here, but you could end up crashing and landing here or here. But we could also take the Stilt Looper on page 11, which is conveniently right here. Once again, we have stats for the Stilt Looper, a general description of what's going on in this particular area, the things that will or might happen. For example, you may get caught in a sinkhole, and then there's a 2 in 6 chance that you will encounter a hermit. And yeah. And then once again, NPCs, and things that might happen there, aside from getting caught in a sinkhole. And also this very lovely illustration, which, while I am not very familiar with the Troika setting, I feel like this picture sums up what I know of the setting incredibly well. And from that point, it's just transversing between the locations, all of which are detailed with things that do happen there, things that may happen there, NPCs, etc. I don't want to get into the other locations and such because that would kind of be spoilers for the adventure, and I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to spoil this lovely adventure. I mean, I kind of do, because there is a thing that I want to complain about, but yeah, this is the spoilery part of the video. I will put a timestamp on the screen, and you can skip to that timestamp if you don't want any spoilers. Alright, now that all the nerds are gone, it's more of a concern than a problem. As described here, Count Decorticus can survive without his rare earths for 4d6 days, which could very well be 4 days. And that is one of those things that, to me, feels a bit like taking the OSR mentality to an impractical level. Because if we look at our point crawl map, it is hypothetically possible to complete this adventure in 4 days. If you take the golden barge, roll a 1, taking you here in 1 day, then another day to the wall, you do what you're going to do at the wall, then a day back, roll another 1, you're back in 4 days. But if you had decided to take the stilt looper, rolled a 1, then you get to the eye bleed, and it takes a minimum of 3 days to transverse. So by the time you get through the eye bleed, Decorticus is dead. You can go all the way through the whole rest of the adventure, come back, and then be told, yeah, he died 4 days after you left. And that does not sound like a fun way to end an adventure. Now, I'm not against time limits or anything like that. It's just creating the possibility of having a situation where the players never had a chance to be successful. Because if they're running all over the map, they come back and they find out, oh, we were 1 day late. They still hypothetically could have succeeded. They will, of course, feel that they should have been quicker, but the fact is that throughout, success was a possibility. If you come back and find out that you literally never could have succeeded, it just makes the entire adventure feel like a waste of time. And since I am in spoiler talk here, there are, of course, 2 different ways that you can complete the mission. I will talk more about the way this is structured, but just in general, there is very little indication that there is a second way to complete the mission. Alright, now it's time to welcome everyone back who decided to skip the spoiler section and look at what else we have in this book. So, in addition to all of the, sections that you may go through, there's of course also a section for all the enemies you may encounter, some of whom have lovely illustrations. Melsonian Arts Council, always good on the illustrations. And then in the back, we have a table of common names and occupations for randomly rolling up NPCs that you may encounter, as well as meals that may be served on the Golden Barge. It's just a silly little table. And forgot this, back here, we have a set of rumor tables, one for when you are further north than south, and a second one for when you are further south than north. So that's a fun little thing, having the rumor tables split up like that, so you get different rumors depending on where you are, which is kind of realistic. So, thoughts on this thing? It is a fairly standard adventure in theory. It is essentially the quest for the MacGuffin. You have to go get the rare earths and bring them back. It's a fetch quest, so pretty standard. However, it is a fetch quest in the world of Troika, so it's very weird, and the locations you travel through are all also very weird and interesting, and it does a good job of detailing them all and filling them with NPCs and enemies and occurrences that might occur within them. However, it is very much just that. It gives you the locations, the things that might happen in the locations, and not a lot more. So this is an adventure that I would really only recommend for an experienced game master, because you do need to fill in a lot of stuff, which is one of those things that is either good or bad, because the looser the structure of the actual adventure is, the more flexible it is. It can allow for a lot more creative problem solving from the players, but also requires a lot of input from the game master. You need to decide what is going to lead the players to different places, how they are going to get the ideas to connect the dots and get everything together. It's essentially like a Lego set. It gives you all the pieces, but you need to put them together. So, good book, The overall concept of the adventure is not mind-shattering in any way, but the environments that it gives you are weird and interesting, but not the sort of thing for beginners. And as with any book from Melsonian Arts Council, it looks very nice. The art is all, well, this very nice art that they have in their books. It is a solid hardcover. I don't know why I'm so amused by the fact that this is a hardcover. And it is overall laid out well. And since this is a Troika video, it makes sense for me to point out that $1 and up supporters on my Patreon gain access to my Troika backgrounds based on weird stock photos. That's right, weird backgrounds based on weird photos from a weird person for a weird game. It's all the weirdness you could ever want. And thank you for watching, with extra special thanks to my Fightin' Flail Snails, Samuel Gorski, Randy Mulholland, and SC Woolridge. If you'd like to be cool like them, check out my Patreon, where you can get early access to videos and fun stuff like aforementioned Troika backgrounds. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine too. You can still hit all the lovely buttons, like, subscribe, these other videos, which will be floating around the screen somewhere. I'm sure they are lovely videos. And I will see you next time.